I had this grandiose plan of telling stories of the amazing women who have inspired me along my own journey. I was willing to throw myself under the bus because I was convinced that their stories, while amazing, didn't matter as much as mine. I was so willing to sacrifice, in essence, my own freedom to be and sacrifice who I am for people I didn't even know, and that's you, by the way, and I love you, I do, but the fact that I was willing to disengage from who I am for your sake seemed ridiculous to me. And so I'm speculating on this, and I'm like, I ask myself, where else are we as a society disengaging from our own stories and our own freedom to be, and what kind of momentum does that create, as opposed to the kind of momentum that freedom to connect with ourselves creates? And then I wondered about myself, what part of me even knew the importance and the power of authentically sharing versus inauthentically sharing? And what part of me knew that I owed it to myself to give myself that freedom to be right here, right now? And then I was like, oh shit, it's my story. My gross, raw, messy, amazing, miraculous, and beautifully chaotic story. So when taking on this notion of momentum, we know that the only thing constant in the universe is change. Inevitably, there will be momentum of some kind. It will either be the kind of momentum that feeds our life and our dreams, or the kind of momentum that feeds our death. Now, as much as I love talking about death, what I'm going to talk to you today about is the kind of momentum that has fed my life and my dreams, and the corresponding ways of being that have fueled that momentum. Now, don't lose me on the being part. We entrepreneurs can't really grasp being because we are habitual doers. I heard it said once, the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who's willing to work 80 hours a week for themselves to avoid working 40 hours a week for someone else. We know action, right? Being is not our thing. Or is it? Well, for me, over the past 4 years, I've adopted 5 ways of being that, in essence, have killed death momentum. And what I found and discovered were 5 corresponding actions that just naturally arose from those ways of being. And that when they played together, they fueled what I call authentic momentum. So yes, entrepreneurs, being is our thing. And really, what is a dream without an appropriate acronym or a cheer? So I'm going to give you a little cheer acronym. So D for dare greatly. And I am able to dare greatly because I'm committed to being courageous. And that's what we've been talking about here today. Thank you, Brene Brown, for being amazing. And for me, being courageous meant coming out of the closet. It was really only 3.5 short years ago. Yes, I'm a late bloomer. I'd been married for about 14 years. My wife at the time and I relocated from Northern Virginia down to Austin. We had just sold our restaurants. We carried our 5-year-old and 1-year-old down here, and we thought we had all the money in the world, so we were off. Little did I know we'd be in Austin for about 6 months. When the money would run out, the people who all purchased our businesses defaulted on their leases. We'd be sued for $40,000, threatened to be sued for $1.8 million, and our relationship would see its darkest time. That's all fancy stuff for shit hit the fan, y'all. It was messy. So, sounds like the perfect time to start living your true self and living your dreams, right? No, well, the truth is when you're living fake, there's never a good time to start living real. Never a convenient time, I should say. It's always good, just never convenient. So it was my time to start living real. So I dared greatly. I got real. I chose to be courageous. And I literally changed the trajectory and the momentum of my life in every way. I quit drinking. I really didn't have a drinking problem. I had a life problem. I lost almost 40 pounds. I literally started moving. I created an authentic business where I coach and empower other entrepreneurs in creating their authentic businesses. Literally nothing of my life is the same as it was. I even have less hair. So it turns out that being courageous creates amazing momentum. In fact, enough momentum to give me an R for raise your vibration. And I am able to raise my vibration because I'm committed to being joyful, otherwise known as smiling, laughing, or just being happy. Yes, Tina Fey, you're amazing too. I love you. Being joyful is almost a lost art. But being joyful is the key to good health. This is why they treat cancer with laughter labs. This is why people with good senses of humor are 40% less likely to suffer from a heart attack than people who don't find things funny. Joy, it's a good thing. Y'all, try it out. In my darkest times, I would choose to sing. I would dance in my room by myself, and I would look good, y'all. Thank you very much. And I wasn't faking it until I made it either. I was being it because I knew I was it regardless of how I felt. I was honoring who I am more than my feelings. And I was sure that the shadow would pass. It always did it, and it always will. So joy is the key to giving ourselves that raising of the vibration and changing who we are. However, yes, Oprah, we got to mention Oprah twice here. Life doesn't always show up that way. So I am able to embrace the contrast and by being committed to being mindful. And Oprah was my first venture into meditation. And we don't need another study showing us the benefits of meditation. And as Jen talked about today, it enables me to embrace the contrast and know that I only know joy because of my times of pain. I only know sadness I only know happiness because of my times of sadness. And the contrast and the access to what I don't want fuels creation itself. So I embrace it all. Almost as much as embracing an A for align yourself. And I get to align myself because I'm committed to being authentic. And those are my babies. They're so I could just eat them with a spoon. But this is why we're here, y'all. This is why I am here, to encourage us all to embrace authenticity, to embrace who we are, align ourselves with our stories. Trust ourselves first. Appreciate ourselves first. It's taken me years to get back to where I was when I was born, which was an eternal spiritual being, safe and secure, perfect, whole, and complete, just as I am, divine child of God with infinite worth and infinite value. And it's when I step into that alignment that my authenticity creates its own momentum effortlessly. And then my momentum and authenticity creates momentum with my clients. It's magical. It's like a tidal wave of transformation. I can't get enough of it. I'm absolutely addicted. I think I do have a gay agenda, but I'm going to call it the be yourself agenda. Which leads me to M, move mountains. And I get to move mountains because I'm committed to believing. And thank you to my mama, honoring the mamas in the group, for being this great pillar of faith to me. I had my come to Jesus moment as an entrepreneur the first year of Trucklandia Fest, which was the 60 food truck, $10,000 competition I created. Day before the event, no one, there's crickets, no one's there. I was the sponsor of the 10 grand. There was no 10 grand. I was 8 grand short. I peeled myself up off the floor long enough to call my mom. And I remember her saying, look, do you know this is what God wants you to be doing? And a resounding yes just flew out of my mouth because there's no way I would have gone through the blood, sweat, and tears for there not to be some sort of divine purpose. And then she goes, well, that's all you need. There's your mustard seed. I was like, not that she talks like the church lady, but she goes, if faith came with a blueprint, it wouldn't be faith at all. So I said with a teenage roll of my eyes, you're right, Mom. And I knew she was. So I didn't give up. I sent out my 6th press release the day before the event. It was 2 a.m. And long story short, got picked up on all 4 TV stations, went from 200 to 1,500 the day of the event, had more than enough money for the award. Nothing else was going on in Austin, miracle in and of itself. So thank you, universe, for responding with momentum to this power of belief. This is why we're here, y'all. Authentic momentum fueling my and your dreams. And when I think of all the stories here, I'm just moved. It moves my heart, and I'm so moved. And I just know that we can commit and give ourselves the freedom to be. So second of all, remember I said a first of all earlier, second of all, when we do as a society cut ourselves off from our own freedom to be and our own stories, we're feeling that momentum of death. But the good news is we can feel the authentic momentum of our dreams by committing to the freedom to be right here, right now, in each and every moment. to dare greatly, to be courageous, to raise our vibrations and just be joyful, to embrace the contrast and be mindful, to align ourselves to who we really are and be authentic, and to move whatever mountains we set our minds to simply because we choose to believe, to connect to our own stories, to own all of who we are, and allow our authentic momentum to fuel our dreams. So commit to authentic momentum and your freedom to be right here, right now, today, before you leave, before you get out of the seat. Commit to it. Be your dream. My story counts. Your story matters. Thank you. Good.